morning, good evening, good day, or good afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. Hi, how are you? So today we are going to be doing a eyeshadow collection declutter video. I have too much eyeshadow. I have too many eyeshadow palettes. I believe I've got 23 in total. I might be wrong on that. I might be at 24 now. And while that is not a lot compared to a lot of the YouTubers out there, it is a lot for me. And I definitely noticed that there are a lot of things that I'm not using that I spent money on. So I am going to try and find a new place for them, or if they're very old, I am going to throw them away because I have a few things in here that are too old to be used by anyone. I am going to start with my palettes and go in alphabetical order of brand and palettes in the brand first, and then I will go with single shadows. If you hear any screams or shouts in the background, that is my little brother playing video games. Fortunately, because of the fact that I am filming all of this on my computer, I cannot comfortably do the whole setup that a lot of YouTubers do where they take the camera and just aim it at the palettes and that's all you see the whole time. So I hope it's okay that you're just going to see me. To clarify, when I say just see me, I mean you're going to see the palettes too, but I'm also going to be in the monitor. I counted, I've got 26 palettes and I have 1 liquid eyeshadow, 6 single eyeshadows, and then this little bento box. First off, we are starting with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Carly Bible palette. This is the first Anastasia Beverly Hills palette I've ever had. I love the packaging, though I feel like anyone with, what is the phobia of holes? Trypanophobia? I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. I feel like anyone with that phobia might have a hard time with this because they're mirrors, it's not holes, but it can look like holes, so. Hey, this is editing Daniela. The phobia I was talking about is actually trypophobia, and it is the fear or disgust of closely packed holes. Anyways, sorry, back to the video. I love this. I love this so much. I'm not sure if you can tell, I have a few little tiny dips on some of these shades. But oh my goodness. The formula, everyone talks about and raves about the Anastasia Beverly Hills formula, and they were not wrong. I love the formula on this. I love the shimmers, especially. These two shades, well, all of them really, but the ones like these and these tend to be better. I feel like these two have been pressed a little too hard into the pan, so they're not crumbly like these are, and that's not exactly a bad thing, it's just different. And all in all, the mattes blend out so well, and I just love this color story. It's kind of spring, kind of fall, it's got neutrals, it's got fun pops of colors in there. I love it. This is staying. Yeah, this is going in the keep pile. Next up, company-wise and, palette-wise, alphabetically, is the Colourpop Baby Got Peach. I have so many of these Colourpop 9-pan palettes, and I love the color stories in here, but I've also found that the shades in my Colourpop palettes are more prone to falling out, and I'm not sure if they're not as magnetic as they should be. I'm not being rough with them. I am definitely keeping this. I don't use this as much as I should. And I love these colors. These colors look so good on me. I like that you have your little neon peach here. You've got a neutral. You've got some deeper tones here. You've got a warm tone here. You've got 3 shimmers. And I'm not the biggest fan of the glitter, only in the case that it gets everywhere. And of course, these aren't eye safe. I see everyone using these on their eyes. They're not eye safe, but if you're going to use them, use a glitter glue or just be careful, use them at your own discretion. But I've found that you can use these on your nails, and I like using that a lot. So yeah, this is staying. You'll find that I don't think a single one of my Colourpop palettes is leaving. I love the formula. I love it so much. The next Colourpop palette is the Bare Necessities palette. I love the feel of the packaging, though it gets dirty so easily. It's got this almost, it's faux, but it feels like almost leathery suede snakeskin to it, and I love that. I love just feeling it when I hold it. And you open it up, and this palette is so prone to getting dirty. And I think that's because of the white background that it's on, but that's okay. So as I've said, I'm not a huge neutral palette person, which I think explains why I don't use this as much as I should. But I do love this palette. There are 2 shades in here that I have a gripe with, but the rest of the palette I love. I mean, it's got neutrals, but they're interesting. This shade up here, Banter, I use that shade as my contour shade. You can see the little dip from how I've been using it. But oh my gosh. These shades, you guys, these shades. The 2 that I have a gripe with is this shade Cufflinks and this shade Revel, only in the way that they don't perform like the Colourpop shimmers usually do, and they don't perform like the Colourpop mattes usually do. They don't have the texture of a matte. They look like they have the texture of a shimmer, but they've been pressed in too hard, so they're all kind of bumpy, and it's not one of their satin formulas either. It's just, I don't know what's wrong with it. And it doesn't have good color payoff when I use it either. So the only 2 shades that I don't like, and I think that's the only time I've ever had a problem with a Colourpop shadow, is those 2 shades. Because see, Revel does the exact same thing. I mean, kind of lackluster, but the rest of it, amazing. Next up in Colourpop is the Blue Moon palette. Love the packaging. I just got this. It should be noted, the palettes that I just got are probably not going anywhere. Love this. Love the color story. Colors are amazing. They perform perfectly. Love the blue looks that I make with this. Not going anywhere. The next Colourpop palette I have up is the Candy Castle palette. Now I am being very delicate with this because one of the shades recently just completely plopped out, and it's one of my favorite shades in it, so I'm being very delicate. I got this last month. You can tell which shade plopped out. It's the white one right there, Sugar High. It's one of only 2 shimmers in the entire palette. I like the palette. I do. I like it a lot. I don't gravitate towards it as much as my other Colourpop palettes, and I think that's because it's harder to create a full cohesive look with this palette, or it looks like it at first glance, than my other palettes. But because it's newer, I'm going to give it, you know, more tries and more of a shot before giving my full opinion on this. Okay, next up is my Colourpop X's and O's palette. Again, love the packaging. I mean, look at that. Just look at it. How could you not love it? Anyways, I got this as a Christmas present from my Aunt Kathy, and I feel like this is just perfect fall tone vibes. Did I just say that? It's a perfect fall tone palette. You've got your little cream shade there. These are actually more duochromy than you think. This looks like just a regular kind of muted orange-ish thing, but it turns out to be a really striking orangey color. And all of these colors have a really cool shift to them, all the shimmers. All the mattes perform well, and again, as you will find me saying with Colourpop palettes, love this. I do not have I can't find a single problem with this palette. It's staying. Next is Going Coconuts. Oh, why is it sticky? I'm not going gaga over the packaging. It's kind of basic, but that's okay. It is a pretty cool neutral palette. I just got this, so it's not going anywhere. I've only ever used it once in a video, and I want to give it more love and more use it more before I decide Sorry, that's my brother. Before I decide what my official stance on this is, but from what I've used of it, I like it. I'm so sorry, this is not a good track record. I haven't gotten rid of anything yet. Okay, we've got the It's My Pleasure palette from Colourpop. Again, kind of basic, but I love the font and I love the color of the palette. Mine's a little dinged up, but that's what happens when you order it. It's fine. This shade kind of keeps coming off, but besides that, love the palette. It's gorgeous. I love purples. This speaks to my soul. This has a cool duochrome shift. So does those. I haven't used this shade yet, but I'm so excited to. A friend of mine from Seattle, where I go to college, Karis, actually got this for me for my birthday last year. Well, actually, it was this year's birthday, but it was my last birthday. Anyways, loved this palette. Still love it. Not going anywhere. I will die with this palette in my clutches. Colourpop Lilac You A Lot palette. Again, pretty basic packaging. Love that heart, though. I'm going to be very gentle with this palette because for whatever reason, I did nothing to it. All I did was pick it up. One of my shadows shattered. It's one of my favorite shades, so I've got to be very careful with it. Here it is. That's the shattered one. I love that. Oh, more just got onto my desk. I love the shade. I love these shades. I love that almost bubblegum pink. It's all duochromy. I'm going to talk about this really quickly because I'm worried about it breaking, but I love this. Lilac is my favorite shade of purple of all time. I really wish there was a way I could get a new version of that shade because there's a ring of pink around it from when I repressed it, which makes me think that it may have lost some of its pigment when I did that. I still love it though. Up next is one of my, again, newest palettes. It is the Making Mauves palette. Entirely mauve tone. I love this. These shimmers they seem very different from the Colourpop formula and how it usually is, but oh, I love it. I love this. My only gripe with this so far is that there really only seems to be one deep shade, and these two are almost the exact same shade, except that one has little sparkles in it. I wish there was maybe one other deep shade, but besides that, I love it. And again, it's new, so I've only ever used this 2 times, and I'm going to give this more chances before we see how it ends up later. Got the Mar palette by Colourpop still. Again, pretty basic packaging. It's kind of rubbed off. I've had this for over a year now, but I love the little waves that they kind of put around it, and love this palette. It's a neutral palette with some pops of color. It's very beach themed. Not a single sequin formula in here. I love it. Not going anywhere. Okay, next is the Mint to Be palette. Do I love this? Yes. Is it going anywhere? No. Do I love the looks I make with this? Yeah. Yes. I like that you have a more turquoisey mint side and a more olivey green side, and then you have shimmers in the middle, but also this one that won't seem to stay put. Anyways, I love this. Smoke Show. This is apparently renamed to Blowing Smoke because of copyright infringement. I have the original. I love the little stars on it. The packaging on the 9 pans is pretty basic, but it's still cute. I love this. I don't wear it as much as I do the others, and that might be because this is kind of intense. But since it is now coming up on spooky season, I will start wearing this and using this more. I mean, I don't have another bone white like that. Or a complete, well, I do have a complete black, but I don't have these just perfect silver shimmers. This isn't going anywhere anytime soon. That's 2 Colourpop products, I promise. Or palettes, I mean. My all-time favorite will always be in my heart, no matter what. So Jaded palette. We all know this is not going anywhere. Look at how well loved this is. Look at the dips I have in those shades. Look at that. This is not going anywhere. You will find this in my grave next to me. And hopefully by then all the shades have been used up, because I'll be very old. Anyways, I love this. You can create so many versatile looks with this. You've got the purples, you've got the blues, you've got the reds, you've got cool tones, you've got warm tones, you've got oranges and greens. You can make a smoky look, you can make an everyday look up here. I've brought this on so many trips and to so many occasions and made so many amazing looks with this. You would have to pry this out of my cold, dead hands. I raved about this palette to everyone I could find for about 2 weeks. I literally went up to my boyfriend's friends and my friends and any family member I could find and said, look at this! It's amazing! It's not even like a regular rainbow palette. It's jewel toned, which makes it so much different than regular rainbow palettes. Anyways, Colourpop Sweet Talk. This is the first ever Colourpop palette I ever got. One of my first ever eyeshadow palettes I ever got. Ooh. I adore the packaging. Mine's a little messy because I've had it for so long. This shade, I was in the middle of putting it on in the bathroom and it fell in the sink and got wet. And sinks, specifically the kitchen sink, but sinks are dirtier and have more bacteria than your toilet do. So there was no way I was putting that back in there and putting that on my eyes again. No. I wanted to. I still think about that shade all the time. Anyways, besides that, you've got your corals, you've got some oranges, you've got neutral colors here, you've got 2 glitters, which again, I know people don't like. For me, I've got 2 shimmers. Most people have 3 because of that Super Shock shadow that was there. Again, this is a perfect spring palette, but it's also a great fall palette, and I don't think people realize that because of the oranges and the browns. Anyways, never getting rid of this. We've made it out of Colourpop, and we are now moving into the first declutter of the video. This is the CoverGirl True Naked Roses palette. I believe they've changed the packaging and the formula on this, and maybe even the layout. This is the first eyeshadow palette I've ever gotten. My mom got me this palette, and then there was another one that was the Goldens, which broke, which I was so sad about. I used that constantly. But this is the palette. It comes with those little things. This is so old. It smells old. I don't know how long I've had this. It's been at least 5 years. I think it needs to be tossed. There's no way I'm putting this on my eyes. But what's so surprising about this, there goes that brush, is how just buttery smooth this is. It's almost creamy to the touch. And for that alone, I want to keep it. But the pigment is so-so. You've only got really 3 mattes in this whole thing. I think this was CoverGirl trying to emulate the Naked palettes. And maybe this was what was the pinky Naked palette? The Naked 3, I think was them trying to emulate the Naked 3 palette. There is not enough in here to give you a complete look because I know it doesn't quite look like it, but that's a shimmer, that's a shimmer, and that's a shimmer. All your deep shades are shimmers. So it's hard to work with, but this, I don't want to part with this because this was a moment in my evolution towards makeup history. This was a moment in my feeling good about myself and learning to work with makeup and building my self-esteem history. But it's expired, so I have to get rid of it. Next up is E.l.f. I've got the E.l.f. bite-sized palette in the shade Truffles. Do I like this? Yes. Did this shade literally just crumble on me and I had to physically press it in with my finger to try and get it to stay? Yes. Do I use this as much as I should? No. I'm not a huge, just straight smoky eye person. I love the silver though. This is staying. Next E.l.f. is the E.l.f. Retro Paradise palette. I reviewed this on my channel. I enjoy this palette immensely. Do I use it as much as I should though? No. It was $12 or $14, which is a steal for all of this. That's 18 shades at $14. That's less than $1 per shade. I mean, it's lovely. I love it. It's wonderful. It's great quality, don't get me wrong. I enjoy this a lot. But there is a friend of my brother's, my older brother, who I've been talking to, who's been getting into makeup, and I want to donate a palette or two to him. Put this in a maybe pile. I'm not sure if I want to keep it. If I do, I'm gonna try and use it more, and if I don't, I'm gonna give it to him. I've now got the Focallure Endless Possibilities palette. This was my first ever palette review on my channel. This was my first ever video on my channel, was using this. I've used up this shade in its entirety, which is Sandstone, because it was almost the exact same color as Neon Carrot, Panna Cotta, and Honey. All three of those are basically the same shade, and it irks me to no end. Mattes are a little hard to blend. Some of the shimmers have this really cool, almost cream texture to them, and it's the ones that look like they're pressed flat down, not the ones that have the kind of bumpies on them, but the flat. They almost feel like cream, and I love it. But I really don't use this as much as I should. My mom got me this, but if this is hard to work with sometimes, depending on the shade, do I want to give this to someone else, or I think I want to try 1 or 2 more videos with this palette and try it out a few more times and use it a few more times before seeing if my decision on this will change. Also, please excuse the voices. Alright, next up we have Juvia's Place. I'm sorry for the other palettes that did not get as enthusiastic of an intro. That's not against them. I just suddenly got a burst of energy. Okay, this is the Freak palette. Afrique palette. Anyways, I love this. I feel like the shimmers are better than the mattes in here. These two do not have as much color payoff as you think they would. This blue does not show up as blue as it is here on your eyes. It looks more muted and almost gray. The browns work perfectly, and the red does the same thing as the blue. It doesn't show up quite that red color. The shimmers are great though. I haven't tried the greens. This is fairly new. I want to try this out some more. Next Juvia's Place palette is the Sweet Pinks. I got this for $7, which was half off. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I haven't used this yet. I've swatched this so much. I have not put it on my eyes yet. I have no idea how it performs. And I want to so badly. But every time I look at it, I'm like, gotta save it for a video. And then I completely forget to use it. So I'm absolutely keeping this because I haven't used it yet. My mom has had this LORAC Pro Palette for I don't know how long, but it's got plenty of wear and tear on it. She has hit pan on almost all of the shades. And just last night, she asked me, "Do you want this? I'm not going to use it anymore." Took off more. How many shades is this? There's 16 shades in here. She took off 7 shades from this palette, completely used them up. Almost completely done with these 2. I accepted it, and I used it for the first time today. I didn't use the shimmer from here because these are the only 3 shimmers left, and they are not light enough for the look I had today. I used a different shimmer. But I like it. I've never used a LORAC palette before. I love the quality of this. I love the quality of these shadows. I wish it was more complete when it came to me, but I guess that's, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Next up is the Smashbox Ablaze Cover Shot Ablaze Eye Palette. Now, I apologize for the way this moves. I know it can be kind of annoying or dizzying sometimes. My mom got 3 of these as a present from my Aunt Christy, and she gave this one to me. I'm not sure if she has the other 2 or kept them. This was the most colorful of the 3 that my mom received, so naturally I gravitated towards it. I really don't use this that much. I'm not sure if you can tell, I have a pretty significant divot in this shade and in this shade, but the rest I really don't. It's a nice enough look. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 mattes, 3 shimmers, and then this orange here is a much like the Colourpop satin formula. It works as a matte, and it has a few little sparkles in it. It is a great fall palette, and I like the color story here. I do, but there's just something about it that when I look at it, I don't want to use it. And don't get me wrong, I mean, these are beautiful shades. I mean, there's nothing wrong with these shades. And I will show you that these are from yesterday, sorry. That there's nothing. I mean, look at these shimmers. That gold. Oh. Do you guys see that? Oh. But every time I look at it, I don't want to use it. And I don't think it's fair to keep this very beautiful eyeshadow palette locked up in my bin, my little basket, where it's not gonna get used. And it's great quality, so I believe I am going to give this to my brother's friend that I was talking about earlier. Next is my Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes. Packaging. Pretty basic. I like the gradient here. It's kind of sticky on the outside, and it doesn't feel sticky when you touch it. But when I put another palette on top of it, like my fingers are not holding that palette there. They are not. Anyways, I love the little clasp, the little peach clasp. Open it up. Please excuse my painting there. I like these shades. Oh, they smell like peaches. I like the quality. I've never used a Too Faced palette before. This is the first one I've ever had. I like that you have little color stories when you don't know what to do or when you don't know. It's simple. It's easy. You've got your browns, you've got your more berry tone, you've got your more peachy tone. and I love it. A lot of people on YouTube I see, when they have limited edition palettes, they get rid of them because they know that their subscribers can't buy it anymore, so what's the point? And then they don't get to talk about it. I am not of that same belief. I will keep things that are limited edition because even if I don't get to talk about it on the channel with you guys, I'm still going to enjoy it. Next up is my Urban Decay Naked 2 palette. I recently did a video with this palette, and as much as I loved the look that came out with this palette, and as much as I love the shimmers in this palette, I need to be honest with myself that I don't use this. And I don't think that I will. There's only 4 mattes out of 12 shades. Out of 12. 2/3 of this palette is just pure shimmer. And it's so hard to create a cohesive look with that. And I have my best friend, one of my best friends, Michaela, loves the Urban Decay formula and loves the Naked palettes, and this is like one of the few that she does not have her hands on. And in the video where I did palette roulette with this, I said I was going to decide if I was going to give this to her or not. I'm going to give this to her the next time I see her. Next up is the Urban Decay Naked 2 Basics. This is a pure matte palette. There are more light shades here than dark. I use this more as a mirror than for makeup, but when I do use this to make looks, they do come out really nice. And it's a nice little travel compact palette for when you just want a swipe of color on your lid. So this is going to go in the maybe pile. I'm going to do a quick speed round of my singles and other shadows. I've got this Colourpop Disney designer, so this is Love Super Shock Shadow. You would not believe how, where to put this, amazing that shade is. Look at that. Just, this isn't going anywhere. This is staying. Next is the Colourpop Villains Jelly Much Shadow in the shade Perfectly Wretched. I wish I could make this work. As I've said 2 videos now, this came to me dry and flaky. It's beautiful, but I don't use it because it's dry and flaky and it falls everywhere when I try to put it on my eyes. This is being decluttered. Next is the Kaja Beauty Bento in the shades Chocolate Dahlia. Do I love this? Yes. Am I getting rid of this? No. I put that shimmer, which I love, on my eyes. This is perfect for on the go. You can use all the colors with your fingertips or with a brush. It's staying. It's staying. Next is the, I'm sorry, this is really quick, the MAC Single Matte Eyeshadow in the shade Soft Brown. I have had this for so long. I think I've had this since freshman or sophomore year of high school when my mom took me to the Nordstrom beauty counter and had them give me a full everyday makeover that made my eyes look pretty and bought me the products with which to make that look every day. Even though I've had this shade for a long time, I don't think I've made a dip in it at all, and I've used it quite a bit. And I like the formula. There was a shimmer shade that I had with this that was a MAC shimmer shade that completely shattered, which made me so sad. But I like this. It blends out nicely, which, you know, my finger's not going to make it blend out as well as a brush will. But it blends out nicely. I'm keeping this. Next is the Maybelline Color Tattoo 24-hour Color Tattoo in the shade Front Runner. This is a lot brighter of a shade than I was expecting. This is more of a cream shadow. It's very light champagne-y. I love it. It does, as it says, stays up to 24 hours. Oh my gosh. That's staying. Next, this is something that people don't make anymore. This is the NYX Lid Lingerie Matte Eye Tint. They really don't make this anymore, and I wish they did because I love this. It's almost a perfect shade to prime my eyes with. How does it smell? It smells okay. I mean, it doesn't smell bad. I was just checking. Sorry. This is in the shade Revel, which I don't know why I'm telling you because they don't make this anymore. But man, have I had this for so long. It blends out nicely. It looks great. I mean, and I'm probably going to use this up in its entirety. Am I, though? Next up are the Stila Glitter and Glow Liquid Eyeshadows. These were in my products I regret buying video. They work perfectly. I just don't gravitate towards them. But I want to so badly, especially with this color, Rock and Rose, 'cause it's gorgeous. So I'm going to try and use this more often. Okay, I've decided I'm going to declutter the NYX Lid Lingerie Matte Eye Tint, only because it's getting very old. I've had this for so many years now. It's almost gone. And after swatching it all up and down my arm and my hand to decide if I actually wanted to keep it, and looking at some tiny little chunky things that came out, and how kind of chemically it's smelling. I'm not sure if it smelled like that before because I never smelled it, but yeah, I'm getting rid of this. I'm also going to keep the palettes that I put in the maybe pile, and I will see how they do and how I do with them in about a year. I got rid of 3 palettes in total, and I'm keeping the other 21. I am getting rid of 2 of the single shadows, and I'm keeping the other 5. So in total, I'm getting rid of 5 things, and considering I didn't go into this thinking this was going to be a huge declutter, I think I did pretty well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all had a fun time watching this. I'm sorry it wasn't the same setup as some other YouTubers. Yes. Before I forget, please don't forget to hit the notification bell, like this video, comment, and subscribe. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.